On September 15, 2012, Texans for Lawsuit Reform, State Representative Todd Hunter and the Granado Group sponsored the South Texas Precinct Chairman's Conference and Candidate Forum at the Corpus Christi Town Club. In attendance were some of the biggest names in the South Texas Republican Party, including Blake Farenthold, Todd Hunter, Sheriff Jim Kalin, and Judge Amanda Torres. Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott was the keynote speaker. The event was hosted by State Republican Party Committeewoman Angie Flores.
All of the precinct chairs that are here, all of the candidates that are here, all of the volunteers that are here, this event is for you, in appreciation of you. And we're going to have a fun-filled day filled with education and great speakers. So without further ado, let's get this program started.
The event was opened by a moving rendition of God Bless America, sung by Mariella Ledesma. Michael Hunter introduced his father, Todd Hunter, state representative for District 32. Chairman Hunter delighted the crowd with moving stories of his experience in Austin before introducing several of the people who have made the success of the Republican Party in South Texas a reality.
Well, it's great to see everybody, and I'm not going to use the microphone, but what I want to do today is let's talk about why it's important to be a Republican and why it's important to be a conservative. And that's what my theme is today. One of the differences between us and the other side is they promote government. I promote competition. I promote you. I promote private enterprise. I don't remember the Bill of Rights and the Constitution talking about socialized government. Remember the basis of our Constitution. It is not red tape. It is you. When you go to vote, always look at who protects you and promotes your rights first.
A brief summary of statewide elections with a detailed analysis was presented by Robert Miller Locke Lord, LLP. Following a short break, there was a moderated panel discussion concerning the important topic of minority outreach.
I want to go back to what my experience. I changed in part because of a number of factors. Remember, I was 30 years as a Democrat, and I consider myself an educated man, intelligent. I just simply wasn't forced to confront the question. And I think after repeated examples that I saw, it finally brought me to the conclusion. And I've said this to you all many times. Corpus Christi was a good example for me. When I saw you all go Republican, and I saw you all trending that way, I just said, wow, there's other people who think like I do. It may not be in the valley where I'm from. Well, when I finally made that choice, I made it known to a lot of people that I was switching to the Republican Party back home. And I started inviting people over who I knew were conservatives. You know, a lot of them came over. Miriam Martinez, for example, is somebody who was running as a Democrat. They told her she couldn't run because the boss was picking the hand-picked candidate. And I said, well, they're not going to let you run. Come run on our side. Yeah. And she did, and she is right now. We have more Republicans running this cycle down in the valley than we've ever had since the Civil War. And a lot of that is because, one, the repeated message. A lot of times, Moni, it won't be on the first occasion, but if they hear it over and over and over again, and they're forced to confront the question, hell, it took me 30 years to figure it out. And now I'm like, oh my God, what was wrong with me?
In 2010, we had 0 Republican Hispanics and 0 Republican African Americans in the State House. 0. All right, so we went, on the Hispanic side, we went from 0 to 5. I believe State Representative Torres, Jose Aliceda, Larry Gonzalez, John Garza, Dee Margo, and then there's, I forget the African-American gentleman from Northeast Texas that also came on board. They also won in 2010. They have been more effective in recruiting more Hispanic, because why? Because they're there. They're at the table. They're able to recruit more Hispanics. And that is very, very effective. And that's why we get involved in primaries, because I think that many times getting involved and supporting good candidates like James Lozano makes a huge difference.
I think I want to give a story that I hope I do it justice, but Art Martinez-Devarra, a friend of mine, is the mayor of Von Army, Texas, which is in Bexar County, San Antonio area. And a couple years ago, they had one registered Republican in Von Army, Texas. It was Art. and Art, and they really put the grassroots to work, going door to door, holding meetings, social media, and in 2 years, 87% of the voters in Von Army are registered Republicans. I mean, it's grassroots, it's rolling the sleeves up, it's what we do here in this room, and as a precinct chairman, all the time for candidates and campaigns to turn out to vote. But Art and his team really, rolled their sleeves up and focused in on, and this is a majority, I mean, I think it's 90-something% Hispanic. So that's another amazing fact. So Von Army is an extremely Hispanic community, but now over 86%, 85%, somewhere in that range, are registered Republicans. And I think that's, we've got to look at examples like that. While the town of Von Army is small, I think it's a feather in the cap. It's winning those little battles to get to the big ones. So we need to take that same type initiative across Texas, because if you don't think the Democrats are focused in on Texas, just watch the Democrat convention and the mayor of San Antonio speak at a primetime spot.
After lunch, Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott took to the floor to share with the crowd some personal stories of his successes and several of the battles that the Republican Party has ahead of them.
And that's why people are waking up and realizing that if they want to pursue opportunity, if they want to pursue faith, if they believe in family, if they believe in freedom, if they believe in free enterprise, there's only one party who represents those values, and that is the Republican Party.
Attorney General Abbott made certain the crowd knew that these battles were not only worth fighting for, but could be won if the Republican Party spread the word and helped the rest of the community understand what the loss of these battles could mean to the state of Texas and the rest of the country. After awarding the Chairman of the Year award, all of the Republican candidates in attendance stepped forward and said a few words about what a vote for them would mean to Texas.
Just a little bit about myself. My name is David Sept. I was appointed to County Court Law number 3 about 9 months ago by our county commissioners. I've been working very hard since then. A lot of what I'm doing is going into the community, spending a lot of time block walking and talking to the people that I meet. And I want to share with you what I think is, at the time, kind of a sad story, but I've turned it around, and I think it has a good message to it. I was knocking at a door, and I said, "Hi, my name is David Sept, and Judge of County Court of Law number 3. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself and about the election in November." The person who answered the phone, or answered the door, took my little card. He said, "Well, you know what? Tell me about your judicial philosophy." But, "Oh, well, that's good. I have somebody who cares. So, somebody that'll be interested." So I said, "Well, I'm a strong constitutionalist. I believe that as judges, we don't legislate from the bench. And I believe that the Constitution is restrictive in nature. It restricts the government and protects our freedoms and liberties." He said, "Oh, that's okay. I don't need any more. You can have your handout back." And he shut the door in my face. I thought, wow. But I thought to myself, you know what, as I was walking away, I was sad. I dejected. I was like, because when you're block walking, it's hard. And I thought, you know what, if that's the way the other side's going to be, when you stand up for constitutional principles and you get a door slammed in your face, then you're on the right track.
One beautiful morning, I had set out to go to work, and the first little cool snap had come in, and it was really one of those days, one of those euphoric days where you just really, they don't happen very often, but you just really feel good about being alive. And this was such a day, and I was in my black and white patrol car, fresh uniform, headed out a farm road, fixing to get into the countryside where I worked. And on the way out there were 2 German Shepherd dogs frolicking alongside of the roadway, enjoying the cool temperature too. Well, I was concerned that, they had collars, but I didn't want to run into any of them, and they weren't paying attention, as dogs usually don't alongside of the road. So I covered my brake pedal, and I slowed down, and I got by them. But after I got by them, it was an oncoming car headed in my direction. And I said, "Oh, I hope those dogs don't run out in front of that car going the other direction." So I shifted my attention to my rearview mirror. And I'm watching, and pretty soon I see the other car's taillights come on. The dogs, I lose sight of the dogs, Then the taillights go out. I'm watching intently now, and then I regain a little bit of, I see dog activity. They're okay. Thank you. Thanks that the dogs are okay. When I refocused my attention on the road, there was a Coke truck that had stopped in the roadway, and I slammed into the rear. At about 30, 35 miles an hour, but you know, you hit something that's fully loaded, and they were trying to get turned around on the road, a little farm road, so they could, you know, they'd got the wrong direction. Oh my goodness. That euphoric feeling was sinking fast. But what do? Well, the only thing I could do is first get out of the car and walk up to that truck and see if I'd hurt anybody. I walked up to the truck and I opened up that Coke truck cab door, and there were two guys sitting in the cab in my nice shiny uniform. And I said, "Are you guys okay?" And they said, "Trooper, we're just fine, but this wreck just happened. How'd you get here so quick?" Don't you know today, there are Democrats who are saying, the Republicans have all the offices in the county. How did they get here so quick? Thank you for your past support. Thank you for your continued support. I have enjoyed serving you for these last 6 years. I look forward to another term, again, as a servant of the people of Nueces County and of this great state. God bless you.
I'll tell you one thing. I have a grandfather who's passed away now, but who had a heart surgery in Mexico, because that's where he lived. Socialist medicine. And a lot of people say, well, socialist medicine works. It's happening in Canada, it's happening in Mexico and Cuba. When we went to visit him in the hospital, there were bed sheets soaked in blood in the hallway. There were patients on hospital beds in the hallway with their IV next to them. It was, there were flies. There were things that I could not believe existed in healthcare. As the son of a doctor, being raised in his clinic on my mom's Diet Coke and pretzels, I had never seen such neglect before. And if that's what he wants us to be, imagine what's going to happen to the business owners. That's why my true belief now is that anyone that earns a paycheck should be a Republican.
Rebecca Bradford then presented an informative and entertaining presentation titled The Success of Women in the GOP.
Then, when the Republicans finally got strong enough to gain control of Congress in 1919, the equal suffrage amendment finally passed the House in May and the Senate in June. When Republicans get elected, good things happen.
After the presentation, the Candidate Resource Committee presented checks to several of the candidates. Shortly after 3, the committee's forum was adjourned.
Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.
The Republican Party needs your help in upholding the values and principles that made this country great. Speak up and spread the word about what the Republican Party is, what we stand for, and how we envision the country.